Oh yeah.
What is that? A big A. Where have I seen that before? Oh, an alpha and omega. Let's see what our Bible passage has to teach us this week. Our Bible passage comes from John chapter 8, beginning with verse 12. Again, Jesus spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Well, if you guessed, I was in here in the sanctuary right beside this candle, then you are exactly right. And this candle has a special name and has had a really special purpose over the last couple of weeks. This is called the Paschal candle, which is a really strange word that we don't use all the time, right? And Paschal comes from a Hebrew word, Pesach, and it has to do with the word Passover. It has to do with the story of how all of the Israelites were saved from the Egyptians. And so that is a really important celebration for our Jewish brothers and sisters. And it is also the celebration that Jesus was marking at the Last Supper. So this story becomes part of the larger story of Easter for us as Christians. We take that story of the Passover, Jesus sitting down with his disciples, and we connect it to the next day when Jesus was crucified and died on a cross, and the next day when he was buried, and the waiting, and then 3 days later we connect it to the story of Easter when Jesus was raised from the dead and God gave him new life through the mystery of resurrection. So, because the Paschal candle becomes a symbol of the whole Easter story, this candle has a special importance to us at Easter time. And you may have noticed that on Good Friday, this candle is taken out of the sanctuary, and it gets very dark inside the sanctuary because we're remembering that the light of the world was taken away from the world through Jesus' crucifixion. And then part of our Easter celebration is to light the Paschal candle in celebration that Jesus is alive and that God has resurrected him to new life. And so the candle becomes a symbol that the light is with us again and will never be extinguished, will never go away. And it's kind of cool. We keep this candle, the Paschal candle, lit for the whole season of Easter. And I'm guessing you didn't know that Easter isn't just one Sunday, but it goes on and on and on. It actually goes on for 50 days until we celebrate the story of Pentecost, when the church was born 50 days later. And so it is one of those things that we get to hold on to when during the 50 days of Easter, we get to hold on to this symbol and remember every single Sunday that this is a little Easter, a little resurrection story that we celebrate when we come together and worship on Sunday. You might have noticed that we also light the Paschal candle at other times too. And this baptismal candle is right here at the perfect moment to explain that. So we light the Paschal candle whenever we have a baptism here in our church. And I wonder if you're thinking about why that might be. We do that because when someone is baptized, what we're celebrating is that the Spirit of Christ is passed into the person that is baptized. It's the same kind of idea as when Jesus was baptized and the Spirit of God came down upon Jesus when he was baptized in the waters of the Jordan. That when someone is baptized, the Spirit of God comes upon them too. And so lighting the baptismal candle from the Paschal candle is one way we can remember that light of Christ travels with each of us once we are baptized. You might have also noticed that for funerals, if you've ever been to a funeral here at our church, that we also light this candle. And maybe you're wondering, well, baptisms are pretty different from funerals, so why on earth do we light the Paschal candle for a funeral? But remember that we do this every time we are celebrating Easter. Every time we're celebrating that Jesus was resurrected from the dead, every Easter we light the Paschal candle. And so the same is true when we have someone in our church family who has died and we are celebrating their life and worship here. We also light the Paschal candle to remember that God has promised them resurrection. God has promised that they too have a home in heaven, and we are excited to celebrate that story of resurrection for them as well. So all this talk about candles, maybe you're thinking like, well, what does this have to do with me this week, Miss Eleanor? And that's a legit question. One of my favorite passages in the Bible is when Jesus talks about being the light of the world, the passage we read together. And part of that, I think, that's helpful for us is thinking about how we can be lights of the world. Because when we experience the joy and the hope of Easter, part of us changes. We become Easter people. And that's not just something we celebrate once a year. That's something that we celebrate every day. We have a new outlook on life. We have new ideas about what God can do with us. And we become Easter people. So every day we can be an Easter person. So I want you to think about this as your challenge. What is it that you can do this week in your everyday life that shows the joy and hope that comes along with following Jesus? So let that be your challenge. What is one way you can show hope or joy in your life and show that you are one of the Easter people? All right, guys, who knows where I'm going to turn out next week, but it will be a mystery. Maybe not as big of a mystery as the Paschal mystery, but it will be mysterious all the same. We'll see you later. Bye.